Man, happy to be here. Another exciting episode for the Zero Gravity podcast. And I've been wanting to have this guest here with us for quite some time. I've been following his reels and stuff, and I've always been amazed at how he's able to communicate with the public and share what's going on in the space industry with the everyday person. So with that, let's welcome Space with Spo. Man, happy to have you here.
Thank you. What's up, Carlos? How we doing today?
Pretty good, man. How about that booster catch?
Wild. And it actually, it's funny, that booster catch overshadowed one of NASA's biggest missions, in the past 20 years, the Europa Clipper launch. But almost rightfully so. I mean, that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was insane. There was a lot of skeptics about whether it was going to work or not. I personally thought it was going to cause a lot of damage to the tower, but after seeing that video and just seeing that precise landing, it was insane. It was crazy.
The 4K footage that came out is absolutely incredible, and it really just goes to show you that SpaceX is not messing around right now. And truthfully, anything that you want to do in this world, you can do it, right? With the right people around you and being consistent. I think that SpaceX is truly changing the course of humanity, and I think more people need to kind of get on board in the space industry and get excited about what they're doing and trying to make life multiplanetary. I mean, more people should be interested in this stuff. I did see 2 million people were watching that live stream, so that is that's better than not 2 million, but I still think it should be 50 million people watching this thing. It's insane.
No, 100%. I think we're going to see a big shift in that here in the next few years. I was talking to someone about that when I was down in Florida. We were having a conversation about marketing and how some of these launch companies need to do a better job at getting more exposure. Just letting a person know what's going on. But I'm excited for it. Like I said, 2 million people could be higher, but it's definitely a great number to start.
Yeah, the chat was going crazy. I was writing in the chat, and it was sad to see that the NASA live stream only had 250,000 people watching the Clipper launch. And to me, like I said, that's arguably a more important event when it comes to what we're doing. And I mean, that has been decades in the making. And the fact that SpaceX got more viewers than that, I mean, we could debate it later on which one's more important, but still massive week for space last week. And still even this week we're still dealing with some of the footage that is coming out now. So crazy time to be alive.
No, it is. We might have to do a poll and just see which one people think was more important. That would be interesting to take a look at. But tell us a little bit more about yourself. I'm curious to learn more about who is Spacewithspo, what got you into this industry, and just tell us a little bit more about yourself, because we see what you do on Instagram and what you do across your channels. But I think it'd be great to get to know you as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. So Spacewithspo started, I guess, almost 30 years ago. I've always been this very loud, outgoing, character, if you will, on this planet. I've always, kind of spoken what's on my mind, and I've always had an interest for learning. I just never knew what I wanted to do with it yet, or how I wanted to make an impact on this world. I knew I wanted to be an entertainer. I just didn't know, where I was going to entertain people, right? So I was a big football player growing up. I always wanted to play football. And once that dream kind of ended in around 2019, 2020, when I realized okay, I'm not going to be going, to play in the XFL or the NFL, I was I need to find a backup plan with a new passion. So I've always been a video creator, if you will, right? So I used to always walk around with a camcorder in my house when I was a baby or a kid. If you guys know what a flip video camera is in the late 2010s, 2011s, I would walk around with a BlackBerry and then a video camera in my pocket because I just like to create videos. I'm a video creator, right? So 2020 comes around. I've always loved space and science. I've always been sending my buddies fun articles and different pictures of the universe. And I started to explain it to them over Snapchat, kind of as a joke at first. I was guys, I was look at this, look at the Hubble Deep Field. This is one of, humanity's greatest accomplishments, yada, yada, yada. And then I just wrote at the bottom, I was Space with Spo. So my last name is Esposito, and Spo is this character that I've created over the years who's loud, doesn't give a F, what I'm going to say out there. I have no filter. I'm honest. And I'm a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm very animated in this character, right? But there's a lot of aspects of myself in there too. So long story short, I got so much positive feedback on these Snapchats I was sending out there from like 30 to 40 friends. And then all of a sudden I'm like, why don't I just make an Instagram account, for the hell of it, see what happens. And then for the past 4 years, the rocket ship has just taken off, right?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
we've had podcasts. We've had I've actually had 2 podcasts over the course of 4 years, and
Okay.
both of them, had their moments. But for me, what I have found, that I'm most passionate about is short form video content.
Yeah.
So right now, I would consider myself a space content creator, a video creator, a personality in the space industry that I think is much needed. I think, people who are interested in space and science and, these people in the space industry, I think we need more characters who are not afraid to say what's on their mind, right? And I think that
100%.
is exactly me.
Yeah.
And you too as well. And that's why I really appreciate what you're doing out there, because we need more people with more opinions out there. And not everybody likes to learn through, the eyes of a scientist who might not be able to communicate that same information as I can, right? So that is why I launched Space with Spo, because I couldn't find anybody on the internet that I wanted to learn from, right? Like, obviously, you have Neil deGrasse Tyson, you got Bill Nye, you have, these other creators like Astro Alexandra, who's amazing. But for me, I wanted to become one of these personalities. I was like, why can't I do the same research they're doing, fact check my information, and then give people my take on it on the internet? And that's kind of what we've been doing the past 4 years. And I will say it has been some of the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. It is, we're nowhere near where, I ultimately want to be in my goals of, where we will be one day. But long story short, it has been a fun time. So it's basically a space channel that, unfiltered, original, factual information and comedy always through the eyes of me, Spo, this character that I've created. And I think that's what separates me from some other space creators out there, that I do not spread any misinformation. Everything on my channel is factual. I provide, sources. I will, you're never going to catch me talking about, that the pyramids, were power plants or anything like that. So I think that, that aspect is a big part of, what I'm proud about as well. Just, how I keep everything factual. I always credit my sources, and ultimately I give, strong takes and opinions that, I think are fun videos on the internet, at least.
And see, and that's the thing that you hit the nail on the head, which is, you need to have more personalities, because all the content that you'll find is either very high level, and then the process of you having to take that information, going outside of that, and then doing your own research, and then figuring out exactly what the heck was even being talked about. It's an extra step that most people don't want to do. So in my case, when I came across your page, I forget what reel it was, but it was just including like the pop culture, and then, a little bit of cursing here and there, and just making it like very like a joke about it, like, was great, because I'm like, dude, like, this is what we need. Like this made me laugh. Like, follow, I want to see more.
Exactly.
I find myself sending these types of reels to like my friends, and then they all feel like they can have that conversation with me, because it's like I'm the space nerd in the group. So explaining things to them can be a little bit challenging when I'm like so in on it and fixated on all the fine details. But I do think that especially now, we need to have different voices. We need to have different personalities and different opinions. We need to have those opinions. It's important. So, but I'm curious to learn what got you into space. You said you were passionate about football. When did that start? Was it when you were younger? Was it later on?
Yep. So I have been screaming about aliens since the middle school lunch table, right? So I was always that kid who's walking around like, I'm about to go pick up a cheeseburger, and I'm like telling like the cafeteria ladies, like, do you guys know that there are aliens out there? And, so I've always had a lot of friends that, talk about this stuff with me, but I would say I became obsessed with it in college. I had a friend group that, we would talk about the universe all the time. I'm talking until the sun came up. And I think that's when I started saving real space images as my iPhone background. Nice. And then from that, I was like trying to learn more about it. I'm like, what am I looking at here? And then over the course from, I would say 2015 to now, it has become an unhealthy obsession of mine to kind of learn more about space and science. I am addicted to viral space news. I love getting in and talking about anything that is currently trending, because what I like to do is I like to learn at this point in my life. I was a horrible student. I am talking about my name would be called on the loudspeaker almost like once a week, like, Mr. Esposito, please come to the office. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just never found a teacher in my life that made me excited about learning. So when I graduated the University of Kansas, I was like, I had this newfound obsession with teaching myself because I was like, okay, well, I didn't even like any of those teachers necessarily. But over the past, I would say I've been out of college for almost a decade now, which is crazy, all right, which is insane. But I started to learn how to teach myself. And once I learned how to teach myself, I'm like, you know what? You don't need a teacher. You could teach yourself. And if I could make it exciting for myself, I now want to make it exciting for millions of people out there. And that's what I have the privilege of doing right now with my platform. And I think that's why, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's why, I teach, I truly do treat this as, something really important that is going on the internet right now. I think learning and, education is so important for our species. And
Yeah.
if I could just get some of the guys, at the bar, who is typically my audience, right? It's like 18 to 31-year-old males. If I can get more of those guys interested in one topic a week, I think that I'll be able to die like a happy man. Like I did something positive on this planet.
That's
You know what I
awesome.
mean?
That's awesome. So, you mentioned that when when you were in school, your name would get called all the time. What would you describe the younger version of yourself? Like if you could describe that student versus how you are now,
Class clown, absolutely class clown. I would be sitting in the back throwing pencils at the ceiling while they were like, like doing quizzes and everything, and I'd have like 16 pencils stuck on the ceiling, and they'd all be falling.
Yeah.
No, I was just like the jock, football player who, nobody ever took seriously because, I never took school seriously. Although, I consider myself a smart person. I just didn't have a good teacher to motivate me. I didn't take learning seriously until I got to school. And then more importantly, when I graduated, and I was like, oh shit, like this learning stuff is amazing. I was like, wait, I want to go back to earth science now. You know what I mean? So I just never took it serious. It took me a little bit longer than most people to grow up, which is fine. Everybody's on their own path, but I think that's what makes me me. And I think that's why I'm able to relate to millions of people out there, because I don't have, the typical, education timeline that most of these scientists have. Where, I don't speak like them. I don't act like them, which leads me to have different opinions than some other people in the space industry might have. And that's why I'm able to relate to more people like myself, because, I've been on the other side of things where, I'll see a space article. I'm not always like, oh, I love this. Sometimes I'll be like, this is stupid. I don't want to talk about this. You know what I mean? So I'm very relatable in the sense that, I like to be myself. And ultimately, I think that lets me, it gives me, passion on this planet.
Yeah, of course. That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, I will say this, you took one for the team because like you need to have someone who can make you laugh and, and just have a good time while you're at school. I was like that. I was similar in a way when I was in school. I wasn't always as focused as I wish I was. But again, it's like when you discover that you can learn something, right? That if there's something that you're really passionate about gets your attention, it's just much easier to learn that.
Yeah, especially when I would get in chat, like if I would be challenged by a teacher and like they yelled at me, my head would be on the desk, like sleeping for the next like 3 hours. You know what I mean? So like it took me almost 25 years to be able to like receive feedback and like take learning seriously. But now, I'm here and I'd rather, have it now than never. Right. So
yeah, of course. So along that path, I know you said you started with Snapchat.
Yeah.
How long did it take between going from Snapchat to opening up that Instagram account and making that first post?
Yeah, I would say like maybe 3 weeks. I was just on Snapchat, and then I was like, you know what? I went outside and I took a picture of Venus with my cell phone, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna like. I kind of want to receive some likes on this, right? I wanted to see. I almost was looking for engagement at that time, so I made the account, and on that first post, you could see, almost 4 years ago now, in the summer of 2020, you could see all my friends commenting like, "Oh my God, this page is amazing! Bill Nye, watch out!" And the funny thing is that like everybody was messing around on that first post because they didn't know how serious I was. But now, if you look back, I mean, we just hit 30,000 on TikTok, and it is funny how, people were supporting me at that time, and it was kind of a joke. But I have turned this joke into a serious profession where, now who's laughing now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's insane. So, I mean, I'm assuming that as you were growing that page, you must have had some form of obstacles or challenges that you ran into, whether they were content related or, I think one of the things that isn't spoken about as much as it should be is obviously, like the well-being of your mind. And it's like, you see all these successful influencers, entrepreneurs, people who are doing things, and it's like, well, how are they able to overcome those obstacles? Like, did they ever run into something challenging? So what were some of those challenges that you faced?
Early on, I think it was challenging adapting to what social media was at the time. I mean, you have to take yourself back to 2020 where, TikTok was just starting to get, big on people's cell phones. Everybody was on the internet all day, but like video content wasn't what it is right now. So if you go back to some of my earliest videos, I struggled a lot with editing. I've had, I used to edit on my cell phone on iMovie, and it must have crashed on me maybe, 20, 30 times.
Yeah.
I've run into issues where, back in the day where just like even uploading on a specific platform, like I did it incorrectly and, I had something spelled wrong. But I would say ultimately the biggest challenge as a content creator is persistence, being consistent, and then more importantly, like truly like having passion behind what you do. Because if you put too much pressure on yourself, it almost sometimes becomes a job. And once it feels like it's too much of a job, that for me is in the past 4 years where it has become a little dangerous. So I've taken breaks, which has been really good for like my mental health, because you have to realize, not only is it time consuming doing the research, actually creating the content, but then you have to post the content, and then you have to engage with who's ever viewing your content, right? So it really is a full-time job in the sense of like, I'm a very outgoing person.
Yeah.
I'm an extrovert. I love being the center of attention, but at the same time, there's some days that I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody right now, right? So you have to get over those humps if you want to be a content creator, because it is no joke. It's not easy. You have to be ready for the good feedback and the bad feedback. I mean, I've had posts where I've had thousands of comments, people coming at me, we live on a flat earth, or, I can't believe you said this, or, this guy is stupid, whatever. I've received all type of feedback. The funniest things people say to me is that I'm loud, because I'm like, yeah, no shit, I'm loud. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to be, right? So I always think those comments are great. But no, those are some of the biggest hurdles as being a content creator, and then evolving with content as these social media platforms mature. Because if you go look at my videos now, they are completely different from the way I started. And you have to be able to take feedback, be consistent, and just kind of like learn with the world as the world's changing.
No, of course. So did you start to kind of just tune out those negative comments, or how do you go about like choosing the ones that you're like, okay, this is a negative comment, but it has some constructive criticism to it? Like, how do you go about deciding which ones what noise to listen to and what not to listen to?
I'll tell you what, man, it's challenging, right? Because, I'm the type of person that, if you say something to my face in public, I'm going to bark back at you a little bit. So it's very challenging for me not to engage with like super negative comments. But I'll give you a perfect example of a negative comment that changed my life. So one of my buddies texted me after one of my videos. It was like, I guess 3 or 4 months ago. And I just started using this new microphone. Yeah. He texts me. He actually calls me Espo, not Spo, whatever. But he goes, Espo. He's like, your sound quality sucks. And I'm like, okay. Now there's 2 ways I could take this comment. I was like, I could be like, you don't know what you're talking about, yada, yada, yada. Or I could be like, you know what? This is a friend of mine who clearly watches my content. He doesn't mean it in like a negative way. He's just trying to be helpful. I changed my mic after that because I was like, you know what? He's right. My mic does suck. The next video went out to 1 million people. And I always credit my friend Steve for that, because, that's nobody wants to hear that your microphone sucks. But that's just a perfect example that sometimes if you're able to take feedback, like it could be really beneficial towards anything in your life. And I think that's something that I'm doing better at these days. I don't pay attention to the people that are just like blatantly rude. But something like that, I'll definitely pay attention to, especially if somebody's like correcting me on, hey, you spelled Beetlejuice wrong. I'll be like, okay, you're right. You know what I mean? Like that's obvious. You got to know when to be like, raise the hand.
No, yeah, of course. And and the reason I asked that is because, when that happens, at least in my case, what I've seen, it's that it's not as often as you would want it to happen once you've taken that criticism. You're like, okay, cool, and you build on top of that, and then you see the results, right? For me, I've been able to see that take place with some of my friends and colleagues, and it actually just happened to me recently. I was told to think bigger. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, sure, why not? I thought I was already thinking big, but let's go bigger then, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
I
it's
love it.
challenging. It's a good thing to have in your life. So, but it's always interesting because everything that we do is gonna have two different perspectives, and I think you just laid it out there great, which is they took the time to see it versus is it just a random comment.
Exactly.
The space industry right now, I've started to notice that there's a lot of kind of like hate going towards SpaceX, hate going towards Blue Origin. There's that constant battle between who's better, who's not. What are your thoughts on that? And what who do you have a favorite space company out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think SpaceX is by far my favorite space company at the moment. I think that what they're doing and how they're allowing themselves to fail in the public eye and then continuing to just, focus on the mission, I think that's incredible. And they are quite literally showing people that you can do anything you want in this world,
Yeah,
right? Like nobody ever thought that they'd be able to catch that booster on the first try, and they did, right? But it's taken them almost 20 years to get to this point, and it just goes to show you that if you do not give up, there's a high probability that you will not lose. Now, if you give up, you lost, and it's as
yeah,
simple as that. And I love that mindset with SpaceX. I love Blue Origin too. I mean, they just haven't, for me, I'm ready. I'm waiting to see this next rocket that they have,
yeah,
which is I'm pretty sure going up either next month or the following. But I it's not their time yet. It's
I
not their
see.
time. They have two different missions too. So it's like for me, I want to go to Mars. I want to go to the moon. Right? Blue Origin more just wants to get this orbital reef going and dominate low Earth orbit. Right? So
Yeah.
I do think that they might change their mission in the future. But right now, you'd be crazy to say if you don't think that SpaceX is the more dominant space company.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I saw a post on X the other day, and I think it was from a picture of Astra's rocket, and
Mhm.
the caption said, "This is a SpaceX killer." I'm like, well, I don't know, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about this huge gap you got to close, but it's definitely been an interesting thing to see the progress of how fast they're able to iterate on things that they do.
Mhm.
Have you been able to go to Boca Chica to Starbase?
So I haven't been to Starbase yet, but
Okay, you
I
need to
was
go.
I got to go to Starbase. That's on my to-do list. Definitely. I want to go down there. I got to go to another SpaceX launch. My last launch was at the Inspiration 4
Oh,
mission
nice,
back in
awesome.
2021. Yep. That was my first media pass with SpaceX, which
My first
shout out
launch too.
SpaceX, right? So that's why I like these guys. We're good friends, but I will say that launch changed my life, seeing the Dragon go into space with my
Yeah,
own eyes and feeling it, like feeling the
dude, it
launch.
was insane. I'm getting goosebumps just us talking about it because that
I
was my
like to
first
tell
rocket.
everybody now I know why it's called the Dragon. Like it looks and sounds like a dragon when it's going into space. And I wish more people had the opportunity to
Yeah,
see a crew launch like that. But no, I got to get down to Starbase immediately. I have a lot of friends who travel to every launch, and I see
yeah,
it through their Instagram stories and everything, and I'm so jealous.
yeah.
Because I'm over here right now. I live in like about 40 minutes away from New York City. I moved out of the city recently, so you know I finally am finished moving, and now I'm ready to travel again.
Awesome. Yeah, no, you definitely got to go check it out. I mean, every time I've gone, it's just a different place. I mean, they're building so fast. It's hard to keep up. Um,
And they let you get close too, right?
it's super close. I mean, the
That's
the last time
insane.
that I was there, I was in the beach, and there was some littering there, so we ended up cleaning up the beach while we were down there, and we could walk up to the booster. Like Starship was fully
That
stacked.
is insane. I'm so
And I'm like,
jealous.
and I'm like, dude, like this is like, do people know that this is real? Like you could actually see this. I was there also before they closed off the Rocket Garden. Now it's closed off to the public, and I actually ran into Kimball Musk while I was down there.
Really?
It
Oh
was the
my God.
craziest shit ever. Like it
Yeah.
was it was literally out of the blue. Like I told my girl, I was like, hey, like, it would be insane if I were to run into Elon or his brother, because I'm wearing like this old set of clothes, mismatching
Uh,
socks. Like we were just got out the beach. I just put whatever I had on, and like
yeah.
30 seconds later, I see this huge man with a big cowboy hat just walking towards me, and it was Kimball. And I shook his hand, and we talked for like a few seconds, And then we just kept walking. And I was like,
I actually think I saw a picture of you in front of some of those starships. You have one on social media, right?
yeah. So on my Instagram, I'm constantly posting pictures of me in front of rockets.
Yeah, I'm so jealous.
Dude, it's insane. We should go sometime. We should take
Absolutely.
a trip.
And the crazy thing about it is, like, right now, if somebody looks at that picture, it's like, okay, like, this is pretty cool. Imagine looking at that picture in 300 years from now when these things are going all over the solar system and you are standing there with like these early prototypes. It's like, it's mind blowing to even think about, but Starship will be all over the solar system. We'll be landed on the moon. We'll be landed on Mars. I'd be surprised if we don't have some starships going to Europa later on in life, right?
Yeah, that would
Why
be
not?
insane. That would be insane. I mean, at the speed that they're moving right now, it's very, very possible.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Inspiration 4. So that was your first rocket launch?
My first rocket launch ever. And
Okay.
I was sitting right there at the press site at the Kennedy Space Center. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. It changed my life. I'm forever grateful for that entire crew, everybody at SpaceX. And yeah, I actually had a opportunity to go to Polaris Dawn, was it?
Oh,
I was in
really?
Italy. Yeah, I was in Italy for my cousin's wedding, so I couldn't go to Polaris Dawn. So I really wanted to go to that. So I'm definitely going to try to go to the next Polaris mission, which shout out Jared Isaacman, absolute legend.
Yeah, he is a legend. So do you know the
Yeah.
story between the Polaris Dawn mission and my nonprofit group?
So I know some of it. It
Yeah.
started through Inspiration 4, right?
It did. So I was one of the original I guess you could say founding members of that group. And we all met up the night before the launch for dinner. And it started off as a Twitter group chat. It was just contestants that had gone into the entrepreneurial seat and then the donation seat. And it was just a bunch of strangers like, all right, well, fuck it, let's go get dinner. Like, let's go meet each other. Like, we've been talking for months now. Let's actually get the chance to meet each other. So we went to Sunset Grill, and we all got a bunch of food. And there's a picture somewhere on the internet.
I've seen that picture. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it was funny because someone on that table jokingly said, one of us here is going to go to space one day. And we're like, oh yeah, great, whatever, blah blah blah. Well, launch happened. That was my first rocket launch, and I actually cried when I saw it. I don't know why. Something in me just pulled me towards that, and I don't know if it was because there was people on there or because I thought that I was this close to getting a chance to being on that seat myself. But it just changed me forever. After that, we stayed in contact, and then we decided that, hey, maybe we should share this message with other everyday people, like just us, and see where this goes. And it's a group that you could come out of a job in healthcare as a blue collar, right? And you're welcomed. There's the access to the people that we have. It's just there. You don't have to be a PhD or a scientist.
I love that.
So, we fast forward to 3 years later now. Polaris Dawn went up, and we reached out to the crew, and Jared actually offered to cover the beverages and the food, as long as we could raise money for St. Jude. So we raised money for St. Jude, and then Jared sent out some of these challenge coins.
Wow!
So it's a beautiful relationship that we've been able to foster with them, and we're always grateful for that mission that kicked everything off. So
yeah, I love what you guys are doing. It's super motivating, and I love the camaraderie aspect of it too. Like, kind of like building a family there. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, and the cool thing is everybody gets the call sign. So like, if you don't the call sign, so mine is risk, and we won't go into it in this call.
I like that.
It's risk for a reason.
How about Jared hooking up some food and drinks? Right, what a homie right there.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Knowing exactly how to make everybody smile.
And man, and I'll tell you this: the one thing where I knew that that it was real was after the dinner, we sent out a thank you email, and Jared personally responded to that email.
Yeah, he's good with that. I see him all over Twitter. Like, he's like tapped into the space world. Like, he knows, what everybody's talking about. Even like the little guys on Twitter, like, he's always responding if he could say something meaningful or kind of add some more context to somebody maybe like talking shit or something like that. I've seen him clap back at a lot of people on Twitter that are like, why are we spending money going to outer space if we can't fix life here on Earth? Like, he claps back at some of those people, which I love seeing. So he's a good follow on Twitter if anybody, or X, if anybody doesn't follow him yet. Highly recommend.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. We'll add the link somewhere here. So yeah, he has some really cool projects. But man, I hope you get a chance to go see Starbase soon. It's great. I think you'll have a great time. I want to know, what are some of your future projects? What are some things that you're currently working on that you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have the Space with Spo show, which is a long form podcast, very similar to this, that I am going to be bringing back eventually. The date has not been announced yet. Some conversations are planned. For me, I want to continue to go on the road that I'm on right now. I have some goals on social media that I want to hit. Engagement wise, I want to, continue to change lives, within these 30-second to a minute clips, which I feel like I'm really good at right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some things are coming. Nothing that I'm going to be speaking about just yet, but we're just getting started here at Space with Spo. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? So I've been in the game for about 4 years now. I think in these next 6 years, a lot of good things are going to happen, but that's not going to happen without, being consistent, bringing the energy every day and just continuing to be myself. And I'm really excited for my future here. And also, like, I'm excited for you as well. I'm excited for everybody I'm excited for my friends, my followers, as you call them, or, people that support me, because we're all on this rocket ship together. And I'm excited for the next few years here. But for now, you're going to continue to see short form content on all platforms and be hitting it heavy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I look forward to it. Or is there a chance that we might see you in space someday? Are you actively?
That's the goal, right? So is there under 1,000 people? I'm pretty sure have been to space. I'm pretty sure it's still under 1,000. I would like to be within the first 2,000, maybe 5,000.
Okay, yeah.
Even if I was one of the first 10,000 humans to get to space, which I think is a very realistic goal.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be an honor in my life, right? People say the overview effect changes who you are as a person. And I feel like I have the overview effect already just from, my personality and just being on this planet. But that's definitely the goal, to get to space one day. And then ultimately, I want to travel to different planets. I know I have an unrealistic goal that I want to explore the solar system, but I'm focused. I really hope that some type of pill comes out within the next 30 years. We can take it and extend our lifespans, because, I'm not going to live forever, but I don't see why we can't live to 200-300, especially with exponential growth with, medical technology. So I have high hopes for our future here. You know what I mean? I would love if one day we could record this in person on, on Pluto or some shit. You know what I mean?
Pretty sick.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fucking sick.
That's definitely the goal. Like, I want to get to space one day, but for now, like, I want to just continue to make an impact on, the people here on Earth. I want to continue to educate people through comedy. I want to continue to just, use my platform to spread positive energy throughout the world. I want to, I just want to change lives out there. You never know what somebody's going through. And, if I could just keep them distracted for 30 seconds to a minute, and if they can come away with watching one of my videos, whether you learn something, whether you laugh, whether you cry, whatever it may be, or whether you think, you don't like the content, you feel something, I think that's important. And then I could, I think my job is well done at that point.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think there's a good chance you'll be able to make it to space soon, especially with the cost coming down and all that fun stuff. And the overview effect alone, I mean, that changes your whole perspective.
Yeah, I was close. They had this show. It was back in 2022 or 21, I was being interviewed for this TV show. It was called Who Wants to Be an Astronaut? And it was
with Discovery?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. What happened with that?
I have no idea. I did like 3 interviews. I told them my entire life story, right? Like, I was telling them like secrets and skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, never heard back from them. So I thought I was closer than I actually am. But who knows? Maybe another TV show will pop up like that sometime soon. And like, you're looking at 2 candidates that could be, battling head to head for a spot in space, right? So we're friendly now, but I'll tell you what, if you're sitting across from me in that, Who Wants to Be an Astronaut show, I'm going to war, Carlos.
That's crazy. Well, I'll see you there,
Yeah, exactly.
There's
you'll win season 2. I'll win season 1.
There you go. There's one called Sarah Space. I don't know if you've heard of them. They started kind of popping off on Instagram. Sarah Space, SERA Space. And
I gotta check it out. I didn't do that.
Yeah, check it out. I think what they want to follow is like a reality show approach as well. So that's something worth looking into.
A lot have tried. Many have failed. And it takes a lot to launch a show like that off the ground. So it's not easy. There's a lot of concepts out there. And it'll be exciting to see who actually makes it happen. And then, if they get good ratings, hopefully.
Yeah.
They need guys like us.
No, yeah, 100%, 100%. I know they're listening. I know they're out there.
Yeah, they are.
I'll purposely just spam them
You
on
know
this.
my email, spacewithspo@gmail.com. Let's see it.
Drop the social security too.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, yeah, I mean the overview effect is great. I had Carson Kitchen, the youngest woman in space, for the first episode, and I talked to her now, and the way that she looks at the world, and the different projects that she wants to take on, it's insane how that changed her, right? And just the way that she describes it is like dude, I want to experience that. Like,
Yeah,
how can I
I'm
get
so
closer?
jealous. And we're right there too. It's one thing if it was still, unrealistic for us to get to space. Now it's really not that unrealistic. We're like a few years off of people like us getting the opportunity to actually go into orbit. Like I'm not talking about, Blue Origin. I'm not talking about Virgin Galactic. I'm
Right.
talking about something like SpaceX. We are very close to being able to travel in low Earth orbit and then onto Mars one day. And I mean, look, SpaceX needs somebody to go to Mars and start building, a city there, right? So if you're
Yeah.
listening to this right now, there's no reason why you shouldn't be qualified to do so. Why not?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's something that definitely should be getting a lot more people excited, and looking into it and preparing for it. I think that's another area that there's a lot of opportunity in, which is preparing the everyday person for when that opportunity comes.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's gonna be a shit show
Yeah.
if there's no preparation at all.
Yeah, the only thing I'm nervous about is Jared Isaacman was saying the best way to explain how you feel in space is like go to hang off your bed, like lay upside down, hanging off your bed, and that's how it feels in space. And that kind of made me a little nervous because I didn't really feel too good. I felt a lot of blood rush to my head, and I was like, "Damn, am I gonna actually be able to do this one day?" So I need some training, but I'll definitely be entertaining up there if there's a camera crew. That's for sure.
How would your family feel if you got selected to go to space?
They don't want me to. My grandmother's
Why?
dying wish. I shit you not. Rest in peace, my grandmother. She literally told me on her deathbed, "Do not go to space. I don't trust those rockets." And I'm like, come on, like you couldn't have said anything else to me at the end of your life. Like now I gotta feel bad if I ever go, but that's the one thing I'm not gonna I'm not keeping that promise. But yeah, so they don't want me to go. My fiance doesn't want me to go. Nobody wants me to go besides you guys. I think like my friends want me to go. My family, they're a little nervous, but rightfully so. My parents grew up, they saw Challenger, rest in peace to those guys. They saw Columbia explode, rest in peace as well. And it's scary, right? They don't know that, a lot of these rockets now have escape systems and stuff. So I don't blame them for not wanting me up there, right?
No, yeah, for sure. It's definitely, at the end of the day, it is rocket science. There's so many things that have to go right for it to work. So, it's a risk. I was watching the Inspiration 4 documentary, and there's that part where Haley's writing the letters to her family for if she made it to space and if she didn't, and that moment alone just really gets you to see how heavy the situation is if something was to go wrong.
Yes, me and my buddy Space Flight Hub used to talk about this every other day. It's like there will be civilians who unfortunately die in space, and let's hope we're not one of them, and let's hope it doesn't set humanity back too far with that. But it is bound to happen, right? Like it's unavoidable. We're not going to avoid losing a civilian crew in space. It's a matter of how we handle it, and I hope it never happens. But in my opinion, it's unavoidable.
Okay. Is there any way possible to mitigate that or to prevent that from even happening? Or do you think it's
Hopefully, hopefully, I think that it's just look. A spaceship is bound to hit a piece of debris one day. Unavoidable. Or like some things are in our control, and a lot of it's out of our control. I think we could do as much as possible to try to keep every crew safe. But I think that if humanity really wants to extend consciousness to the stars, there are going to be more crews lost, whether it's NASA, SpaceX, whoever, Axiom. There's going to be another crew that unfortunately is lost in space, and I think it's unrealistic to say that's not going to happen. I think we just need to learn by failing in some instances. No.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point to say. Yeah. Wow. That's heavy. When
we're talking about millions of people going to space. I mean, there's going to be some issues. There's going to be that we haven't even dealt with yet because we don't know what the issues are going to be yet, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like that. Fuck. I'm losing my brain cells here. It's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where it's like, you don't even know if you're asking the right question or something like that. So it's like,
Exactly.
how do we know?
100%. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We don't even know what the issues are that we need to fix yet.
Yeah. How do you feel about like, the question of, is there life on other planets? Do you think
Of
that's
course, absolutely. I think there's life in our solar system. I think there's life on Mars, underneath the ground right now, deep in that. We found out that there's more than likely a large reservoir of water on Mars.
Mm.
I don't see why there can't be bacterial life on Mars. There's, in my opinion, definitely life on Europa. All these other water moons that Jupiter and Saturn have, I personally believe that there's some type of life on there. I believe that life travels on space rocks. I think that it goes planet to planet, moon to moon, and in every, I wouldn't say every star system has life, but I think that life is all over the Milky Way. I just don't know about intelligent life. I think that
Yeah.
that's where it gets a little sticky, but
Mhm.
I mean, it just seems unrealistic, with all these planets and more moons than planets and all these stars that we know about in our observable universe. I don't think I just can't see that this is the only, thing that the
Yeah.
only consciousness that's sparked in the universe. I think that that's silly to say.
Yeah, it's really hard when you look at just how many star systems there are, and
Yeah.
just the
And look,
probability.
look at the diversity of life on Earth too. I mean, like, it evolved into all these different, creatures. I think life is everywhere. I think
Mm.
that we don't have the technology to confirm it yet. We're getting close, right? Obviously, like, I think that by 2031, we'll confirm that Europa not only has the ocean that we suspect it has, I think that we're going to confirm that it can host life. We're going to send one of those little snake robots there. We're going to confirm that life's on Europa. And if life is on Europa in our solar system, my opinion is that life is in many solar systems throughout the universe, 100%.
Interesting. Well, everybody heard it here first, so go place that bet.
Oh, I've been saying that. Yeah. Ever since I started making videos on the internet, I'm like, okay, I'm confirming we're not alone. You know what I mean?
Well, I know the conspiracy theorists are gonna love this, but how
Yeah.
likely is it that the government's keeping that information from us?
I don't think so. I think it's more coveted programs from like the UFOs you're talking about.
Yeah, UAPs, whatever they call them now.
I used to believe that they're alien. The more I look into it, the more that I follow Mick West on Twitter, the debunker, a
Hmm.
lot of what he says makes sense to me. I truly do not think that these UFOs are alien. A lot of them don't make sense, but they're unidentified flying objects. Like, that's what
Yeah.
it is. I think that it's more than likely that America has some type of secret program that not a lot of people know about. And we're just testing crazy new technology. And I think our eyes play a lot of tricks on us. So I am not a believer that these UFOs are alien. I see no evidence for it. I
Yeah.
would be the first one to make a video if I thought an alien was, flying around our planet. I just don't think it's very like, why would aliens be here out of all places? You know what I mean? Like, the
Right.
universe is a huge place. I just don't, I don't think they would, I don't think they would be here. What about
Have you?
you?
Well, I think, see, that's where I personally think that it has to do with, again, a secret project, and it's easier for the public to believe that there is aliens out there than to actually accept what the reality is, right? Which is that
Mhm.
this is just human technology.
Mhm.
Um, I've had an experience where I was out and we saw a bunch of little cluster of little lights, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's a satellite. Shit, that's not a satellite. Like, okay. No blinking lights. Okay, I have no idea what the hell that shit is. And then it would just like it was moving towards it was moving east, and then before we even like could like get a good glimpse at it with our phones to take a picture, it just went to the right, stopped,
Gone.
went back down, and then just light was off. I was like, what the fuck
Interesting.
was that? So that was a very odd experience for me because I like to look at facts and logic, and I still cannot wrap my head around as to what it could be. I thought it would have been a drone.
Mhm.
There was no noise, and at the altitude that it looked like it was at, I'm like, it's really unlikely. So I've had that experience. Have you had an experience with a UFO?
Back in the day, I thought I saw a UFO on the beach in like 2009, but I was also drinking Coronas, so I don't know what I saw out there. But no, I'm just a big believer that maybe in the past aliens have visited us, but I just think that, and I hate to like sound like Neil deGrasse right now, but like, we have all these 4K cameras. We're walking around with them. Billions of humans have the opportunity to show us evidence of it, like
Yeah.
undeniable evidence of an alien. And I think more times than not, it's just your eyes are playing tricks on you. It could be a drone, it could be anything. It just unidentified, in my opinion, doesn't mean aliens. Like I think you need like extraordinary evidence to claim that there are like alien spaceships on our planet. The
Yeah.
one story that does get me though, I forget where it was, where all those children saw the UFO when it landed in
Oh, was it
I
South
forget I
South America? Is this a
yeah,
wild
something like that. I totally forget the name and we can look it up, but like a bunch of children were like, no, like aliens landed. That is one of the stories that I'm like, oh shit, like that actually might have happened. But besides that, I think more than likely our eyes are playing tricks on us. You're looking at, technology that humans have. And I don't even think the aliens built the pyramids. Like I think that people are not giving humans enough credit, right? The
Mm,
people, a lot of people that say that aliens built the pyramids or, these ancient Egyptians and all these other civilizations had to have had advanced technology. I think they're not giving us enough credit. Like, you know what I mean? We put humans on the moon, and
yeah.
that is such an incredible accomplishment. There are billions of people that don't even believe it. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
exactly what I just tell you. There's people that will cold-heartedly say we did not go.
It's insane. And like that goes to show you like that we could do crazy things. And I think that just because we don't understand how, these big blocks were stacked in this one formation doesn't mean that there's like another alien intelligence civilization that's helping us. It just means that we don't understand our own story. And
Yeah.
I'm a big believer that humans could do whatever we want to do, right? So don't forget about that. And with the UFO thing, I'm 95% sure that they are not alien. Because if they were, what are they like? What are they doing? What's the goal here? You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna fly and like let you get a shitty picture and then like not come and say hello. It just makes no
Like, that's all
sense.
they,
Yeah,
that's all they want in life. It's just take a
yeah.
picture.
Maybe, I mean, there is a chance I'm wrong. All right, guys. So look, I obviously, I'm not I'm not a alien, pro here, but I would like to think that they're most likely not aliens. I will say I could be wrong, and show me evidence. Send it to my Instagram, and we'll talk about it. But until
Yeah.
then, I don't think they're here. I mean, the only other thing that I could think about is if we don't fully understand like time travel and like how to move around the universe. Like, I'm a big believer that one day we can get to these planets without a spaceship. We just need to like create that technology. Like I don't see why we can't, create wormholes and things like that. Like if you're talking about that, then I'll like be more like, okay, there's a chance. But I don't think that they got here by like space travel as if like
Yeah.
they sent like a starship here. Like no way.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the case either.
Yeah.
But that story that you did bring up about the kids and them all seeing the UFO, that one's very interesting because if I'm not mistaken, and if I was like Joe Rogan right now, I'd just have somebody pull it up, but I'm not Joe Rogan. But from what I read, these kids,
The Ariel school incident. Here's what it is: Ariel UFO incident in Zimbabwe. 62 children saw a UFO.
and then they were interviewed when they were adults, and they said the exact same story.
He said it. They all drew the aliens. They all drew the same alien. Could that have been a guy like messing around with these kids though? You know what I mean? Like parks like a cool car out there, gets out in like a Halloween costume. Like that is possible, right?
It could. I mean, yeah, but you still have to get there and then leave.
True. That's a good point.
More people would
I
assume.
love talking about aliens, man. I could go all night talking about aliens because, like, the thing is it's fascinating. We are aliens, right?
Yeah.
Like an octopus is an alien. I don't believe octopus are truly from Earth, right? So I have some heavy takes there. Like, I honestly think that we don't have even 1% of like what like the story of us in the universe, and
Yeah.
that's why I do a lot of this stuff because I'm looking for answers, right? I get like anxiety not knowing everything, and so much of the universe is unexplored. I think people need to get excited about this stuff.
Yeah, we're living in exciting times, so it's like it's definitely worth getting educated and
That's
following content and really like intentionally going out there to try to contribute to it. So I'm excited for it. So yeah, I mean, tell us where we can find more of your content.
Yeah, so right now we're on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Spacewithspo. It'd be a pleasure if you came and followed along. Yeah, and we're just gonna, like I said, we're gonna keep firing out short-term short style content, quick hitters. We have some long style content coming out in the future. Gonna jump on more podcasts with you. We'll be chilling there, and yeah, no, I'm excited about the future. And if you're interested in learning about space and science in like a fun way, through the eyes of a crazy Italian, come and follow along. I won't let you down. And yeah, I'm here to entertain you, and I'm here to create these discussion boards where people can learn about space and science. So feel free to comment. Feel free to tell me you like the videos, you don't. Whatever you want to say is it's fair game on my page. And I'm just I want people to get excited about space, and I think that's my main goal here.
That's pretty cool, man. Well, I appreciate you hopping on. I think this was definitely one of the videos that I really wanted to get out of the way and do so that we can get more people to follow your stuff. And it just hits different. And dude, last time I was out partying and I saw reels, went back to partying.
that is music to my ears. If you could, that's my goal, right? You got to be able to watch a space video at a bar, and then that's how I did a good job, right?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, so now, hey, I'm gonna be a reoccurring guest. All right, anytime you need me, I'll come through. I'll come through with some hot takes, and yeah, we'll get it going here.
Yeah, it sounds like a plan, man. Well, thank you once again, and yeah, hopefully this thing goes viral or something. I don't know. We'll take out bits and we'll do misleading clickbaits.
That's okay. Hey, thanks again for having me. I had a great conversation here, and I absolutely love what you're doing. Keep it up. You're gonna be successful no matter what you do.
Thank you.